Good morning, everybody. Welcome to your daily crypto news for Tuesday, January 30th, 2024. My name is Matt, and news was really slow today. So I woke up this morning, talked to my good buddy, the crypto curator, Paul McNeil, and we said, hey, you know what? Let's team up and just talk about the market. And so that's what we're doing today. So today, let's just talk the market. All right, Paul McNeil, how you doing? Welcome back.
Doing good, man. Doing good. It's a Tuesday morning. Happy.
It is Tuesday morning, and the issue is we had some crappy news this morning, so we hopped on the chat this morning like we usually do, talk about some prices, and I was like, hey man, come on the show, let's discuss some things.
Exactly.
All right, so we have a couple of things in our docket today, and the first thing I want to talk about is Bitcoin's price. Why is it not mooning? Look, we're sitting at $43,000 today. I mean, we're going up, which is a good thing. But it's a far cry from the 49,000 we saw right after the Bitcoin spot ETF launched. Then we tanked, and we thought we should be around 50, 55, 60 by now because of all of the demand from the institutional market. We're not seeing that. What the hell's going on, Paul?
Yeah, well, that demand didn't really pan out, did it? And part of that is because of our good friends at GBTC. And you know, Matthew, I'm hearing a lot about the GBTC unwind that people are getting wrong. GBTC is cash settled. All the ETFs are cash settled. So when the people who had put their money into GBTC now have an opportunity to get it out, they have to sell Bitcoin to make that happen because the SEC won't let them trade in kind. If they could, they would move it in kind. So that unwind of GBTC is causing a little bit of concern, but it shouldn't cause a lot because there's still a lot of inflows coming into these ETF products.
That's kind of like what I understand as well is so we have inflows coming from the spot Bitcoin ETF products. We have a lot of outflows. And not only do we have the GBTC outflows, we have the potential Mt. Gox outflows. We heard just the other day that FTX is also dumping some of their bags too, and their GBTC trust to try to pay back creditors. So we have what I think what we're seeing here, and I don't know what your opinion about this is, that we just see a lot of restructuring of the market, a lot of shuffling around about, hey, instead of, we all have the same amount of money for the most part. There's money coming into the space, but we're just trying to figure out where we're going to put it. And once that's all figured out, I think that's going to take still a couple more months. But once that's figured out, we're going to have net positives instead of this kind of like reshuffling. What do you think?
Exactly. And I think what most people need to stay focused on is the bigger picture. Now, Anthony Pompliano had a guest on and he was talking about this, and I forget exactly which, I think he was from ARC21 Shares. And again, I think we're looking at this wrong. We're only a couple weeks into the ETF. Everyone relax. Like, these ETFs are going to continue to amass more and more Bitcoin. And I fully believe by the end of this year, I wouldn't be shocked to see the group of nine, as they call them, have over 1 million Bitcoin in their coffers. Why? Because these guys are acquiring Bitcoin, thousands of Bitcoins per day. Guys, it's not going to take long. Right now, I believe BlackRock has over 150,000 Bitcoin already. They're already catching up to MicroStrategy and MicroStrategy. What they took 4 years to do, these guys are doing it in a couple weeks. If everyone relaxes, they'll understand a lot of money is about to flow into ETFs. Wall Street's getting FOMO.
Do you think that's a good thing? I mean, look, I know everybody, we keep telling people, and we have been, I mean, you longer than me, have been telling people to stack sats. I've been saying it since 2017, you even longer. But the average person can only stack so many sats. Is this a good thing that these institutions and these companies and MicroStrategy and so on and so forth have so much control over, and well, I'm going to use the word control lightly here, but have so much Bitcoin and are able to stack so many sats? Do you think that's a good thing?
Yeah, I don't think it's a good or a bad thing. It's a thing, right? And so it's going to happen. There's not much we can do about it. And I think that, again, we look at it from the bad perspective. But the reality is that this is the financialization of Bitcoin. And I think this is something we're going to have to get used to. Bitcoin maxis who want everyone to control their own keys. Listen, guys, I'm telling you, I tried to help a friend just the other day do some security stuff, got all foobarred. Most people don't have the appetite to tinker around with this stuff. They want someone who's trusted and I use that lightly, trusted to hold on to this stuff for them and control it. And when you've got the likes of BlackRock and Fidelity and Charles Schwab and everybody else, that's where the money's going to go. Sorry.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that, to be honest with you. I mean, we say, yeah, it's a thing. That's pretty. Let's just see how things work out. And I agree, everything's going to work out. But that's kind of really a passive way to look at it. But we kind of looked at Bitcoin as a more of a equalizer. And how can it be an equalizer to the average person trying to get yourself out of the system if the biggest players in like the system when it comes to the institutions or the people with the money are now going to control the alternative that was creative, the equalizer, if you will. And so I don't know if that's a good thing, and I understand what we were saying with that, but it does seem like the Bitcoin rhymes at this point with fiat. Besides the control of who controls it, and mining and, is out of the hands of the Fed or whatever, but the fiat is stacked unevenly to, the rich gets richer and the poor gets poorer sort of thing. And now Bitcoin is kind of found that same way. It's just kind of inevitable no matter what kind of currency, in air quotes, we have.
Yeah. So here's what I say, Matthew. And again, there's that whole serenity prayer, right? And I can't quote it perfectly, but it's basically being able to tell the difference between what you can control and what you can't. I can't control the people that's putting money into BlackRock and Fidelity and Schwab, but I can control myself. So what I would say is if you're an average Joe, you need to learn how to hodl your own keys on your own wallet. If you do that, you're fine. I can't control what people are going to do when it comes to these institutions and them having to put their money into BlackRock and Fidelity. There are rules in the financial system. They can't custody their own assets, things like this. This is what people fail to realize. On an individual scale, yes, you're right. I agree with you. Hold your own keys. But when you're looking at these institutions, it's a different ballgame.
Another discussion that we had over the past week was holding your own keys. Do you think that's actually the best solution anymore? Look, I mean, when we're coming into the market in 2016, 2017, 2018, exchanges were a disaster. I mean, we just had Mt. Gox a little bit ago. Bitfinex was hacked. Cryptopia went down. I mean, we could just name off all the exchanges that came in gone already, and got hacked, and people lost all their stuff. However, people lost a lot of stuff by controlling their keys because of just accidents do happen. And I actually made an accident the other day, and I think I just burned some sats that I was trying to send to somebody. Exchanges are pretty safe right now. I haven't heard of a major hack. Is holding your keys the best solution? I mean, of course, if you want to have the future of sovereign money, sovereign Bitcoin, yeah, you need to hold your keys. So Coinbase doesn't have it, or Kraken, or the Winklevi doesn't have it. But at this point, it seems though exchanges are pretty secure.
Yeah, not only the exchanges, again, I said we're watching the financialization of Bitcoin and all the cryptos as well. And I think we're going to get to the point to where people are going to look back at this time and just laugh at us talking about not your keys, not your coins, all this stuff. And as much as we hate to see it all centralized, and guys, it's just, again, for those who have the ability to be smart enough to hold their own keys and to manage their own money and to custody it themselves, you have the ability to do that. So do that. For the rest of the stuff, don't worry about it. It's out of our control. Listen, I'm going to do my part, and I'm going to encourage those people that are around me to help them try and custody their own Bitcoin on their own keys. Yes, we're going to try that as much as we can, and hopefully they do it in a secure way that doesn't let them forget their passcodes, their words to their keys, right? There's multi-sig. There's multiple ways that we can handle this asset. We just have to do what's best for ourselves and let the rest roll.
So Samson Mouse said the other day that we're going to have this God candle. You actually sent this to me just a minute ago. That $1 million Bitcoin is in the roadmap because of scarcity. I think that $1 million Bitcoin is inevitable, but maybe by 2035, 2040. He's thinking that this is going to be the run up to that $1 million Bitcoin, and it's going to be sooner than later. What's your thoughts of that? I call BS. I call hype.
Well, remember, it wasn't Chamath. Who was the guy that came out earlier last year? Balaji Srinivasan, that's right. Mr. Srinivasan came out and said something like within 90 days, right? Total BS. It was a marketing move. I don't think Samson's doing a marketing move on us. I think what Samson is trying to do is he's trying to highlight the supply shock conversation we used to have probably 3 or 4 years ago. And that is that there's less Bitcoin being produced and there's less Bitcoin available for purchase. And if these ETFs, which is Wall Street FOMOing, is buying $9,000 of Bitcoin in demand on a regular basis, and you only get 900 being produced, that's 10x. At some point, price will have to adjust to make sense of this. And so I think what he's saying, I don't think we're going to wake up one day and have an Omega candle and watch it go from, 43 to a million. No. But I do believe that this run can get us, a quarter of the way there and then have some pullback. And then the next run gets so I agree with you, probably 2030. That's what Kathy Wood said, 1.5 million by 2030.
I mean, 1.5 million by 2030. They're kind of like, here's what I think about like those kind of predictions. One thing we tell everybody, as retail traders, is to say, hey, make sure you take profits. But then if you these kind of like predictions, I feel kind of taint the market and taint your ability to do so, because you're always looking for that next, it's like, oh, well, it's going to hit a million. Why should I, take profits at 69,000 or 120,000 or whatever? And then it's just like this, almost this like unobtainable, this future kind of fantasy goal that you might have within the market, even though you might have just made a 5x. And I think that's a lot of things in the crypto space. It's like we have these unrealistic expectation of gains, right? If it's just like a certain, if this was the regular market and you just 5x overnight, you'd be like, oh my god, I just won the freaking lottery. You'll take it out. But over here is just like, where's my 100x? Like, what are you talking about, man? And so I think that these kind of like narratives really, I think, make people delusional of what a good return is. And so I don't know if I actually like that kind of talk, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, we got bamboozled by that with John McAfee, right? Rest his soul. John, back in 2017, said by 2020, 2021. Yeah, he said it was going to be a million.
Too bad he killed himself instead of eating his dick, right?
That's right. That's right. It's unbelievable. So we've been bamboozled by this talk before. Now, that being said, I think you're seeing the maturation of this space. And I think, yes, with these cycles, we're going to see these parabolic moves. And these next parabolic moves could get us closer and closer to that. And it won't seem so crazy. Listen, back in the day when Bitcoin was $1, for someone to say it was going to be $100 seemed ludicrous, or $1,000. People were like, whoa, or at 10,000, like, oh my God. Now we're already up to $60,000, right? And it's come back. But the reality is that these cycles continue. It's been up only. If from the beginning of Bitcoin to today, it's been up only, and it's going to continue to be up only because there's 21 million.
Last thing I want to talk to you about is the Ethereum ETF. The Ethereum ETF, like there is one. There isn't one. There isn't a spot Ethereum ETF. However, there's a lot of people trying to get a spot Ethereum ETF going. Do you think that's going to happen? Me personally, I think it's inevitable. But then again, two questions to you, Paul. Do you think there's going to be a spot Ethereum ETF, and if so, when? And second, where do we stop, or do we just don't stop? Do we think that every crypto is going to get an ETF eventually?
Yeah, so I'm with you. I agree we will get an ETF. Question is when. I think the SEC is going to do the same thing it did with the Bitcoin ETF. But here's the caveat. As Hester Pierce said, this is not going to go to court. This is not going to have the trials. All that other nonsense is going to go away. I think they will examine it. They will scrutinize it, and they will keep kicking the can down the road until they can't anymore. Till they get to that 240-day period where they have to make a decision. I think that's when it'll get approved. So I've seen some sentiment that says they believe it won't happen in 2024, but it will happen in 2025, and I believe that. Now, where do we stop? I think we're going to have anything in the top 10, I think possibly could get an ETF. So your Cardanos, your Solanas, your, not Doge, sorry. Doge is not getting an ETF. Ethereums, those things are going to get ETFs. But I think they're going to have parameters around what a blockchain project needs to do in order to have an ETF. And I think, yeah, we'll get some. But they'll have some limits.
Yeah, but then where's the line? I mean, so like yeah, we get Ethereum. So what's next then after that? Would we have a Doge ETF? Do we have a XRP ETF? Do we have a Solana ETF? I mean, do we have a Floki Frunk Puppy ETF? I mean, where is the
Yeah, no fluky from puppy ETFs. Like I said, I think with the projects that are legitimate, that have a lot of development around them, Doge, I don't think we'll ever see a Doge. XRP, yes. Solana, yes. Cardano, probably yes. Things like that, I think we will. Anything outside of that, I don't know. Until they change some criteria, and I don't know what criteria they use to judge on if they're going to make it an ETF or not. But they're making money, man.
I think it's super. Yeah, of course, they're making money. I think it's just super interesting because this is the proverbial slippery slope. Where does this kind of stop, and where do we start classifying what is a business? Now, obviously, we know Bitcoin isn't a business, right? It is not a company. It's
Correct.
not a for-profit company. Ethereum's kind of skirting that line. That's where everything starts to. We gotta define new definitions of like what Ethereum is, especially since there's this like organization or foundation that kind of controls and organizes everything. So it's like, okay, I kind of get it. And then you're talking about like, say something like Solana, which is way more centralized than Ethereum, and now you're talking about like, oh, okay, now did we hit the point of more of a centralized business focused, and the founders have a lot of coins themselves. So it's like, okay, you're doing this for your personal profits, and it's like, okay, if not them, what about Filecoin? What about Render? What about it's like there has to be a breaking point of where they go, bro. If you're and I personally think that we will get an Ethereum ETF, but then we're going to be open, like you said, up to Solana, Cardano, maybe even freaking Tron. I hate Tron. I mean, then Tron, but I wonder if the safest thing is just to stop at Bitcoin. Just like, hey, that's it. But then
Well,
that
no,
opens it
I
up for
think
Doge, because
yeah.
and Litecoin, because they're basically clones.
But I think it's an evolutionary process that this is the issue that I think people have. They either wanted this or that, and it's this and that. And I think over time, listen, we started with rocks and stones and pebbles and blah, blah, blah. And eventually we got paper, plastic with swiping machines, and things are going to continue to evolve. Money's going to evolve. How we look at things will evolve. It's just an evolutionary process. So is Bitcoin today, but will it all of a sudden be 100? Listen, when we first started, it was just Bitcoin, and then we had Litecoin, and then we had Ethereum, and then we had Doge, and then it just continued to grow. Now we got over 2 million projects out there. Okay, same thing happens. So first you get a Bitcoin ETF, then it's an ETF, and then it's a Solana ETF, and it just goes and goes and goes. It's okay. What's wrong with it?
Last question I have for you today. One thing I want to discuss is Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift and her AI and these AI nudes. Okay, so I think this whole Taylor Swift the past couple with with football and Travis Kelsey and all these. It's just so interesting how they're leveraging star power for marketing, and it's becoming weird brand synergies that you wouldn't expect. Taylor Swift is a brand. The NFL is a brand. The Chiefs are a brand, and next thing you know, they're for some reason synonymous with each other. It's absolutely bizarre. However, these AI is something that we pay attention to very closely here in the crypto space, tech, focused, and I think it's really cool tech. But these Taylor Swift AI nudes have been popping around. Famous person, body swaps have always been a thing, but now that AI body swaps basically meaning that you take somebody's body and use Photoshop to put somebody else's head on it. So you're like, oh wow, look at it's a you know, whoever pick the famous person, right? And now you made a nude of them.
Right.
But now you're creating a very easy way. AI is making it very easy to make not only nudes, but almost any kind of imaginable um, situation for these celebrities or whoever. It could be an average person. What do you think? How do you think we handle that, or do you think we actually should? Do you think this is more freedom of speech, freedom of art of creation, or do you think this is a violation of personal rights and civil liberties?
It's a tough one, Matthew. And again, we're crossing lines that we've never imagined that would be crossed. And so, my personal view is this: yes, can Taylor Swift go out there and take action legally against someone using her likeness in some method. Yes, I think they can. I think that legally there should be a precedent that can protect the artist creation and their likeness and their brand. And if someone's doing that without their permission, I think that there should be a legal precedent for doing so. At the same time, we just got to get used to it. This is sort of the way the world is. And again, you take the action where you can. If you can make it happen, great. Listen, for me, I don't care about Taylor Swift and her nudes and all the Swifties and everything else. Listen, my life is going to go on. You guys go have fun with that, right? So now, if I was Taylor Swift, yes, I would get my legal team together. We would go after them. We would take and try and shut this thing down, and we'd take the action that we would need to. Otherwise, move on.
I don't know about that, because we now open up because AI is just going to get really good at creating people and their likenesses. I mean, revenge porn turns into something new, making like unsanctioned porn with other people. This sort of like kind of bizarre fantasy. You see somebody in the shopping mall, or you're a coworker. Next thing you know, AI is able to make porn with them. And so you just have this like weird instant creation of porn, and it's just I don't know. And then you have Taylor Swift, and her Taylor Swift's brand is she's not like Cardi B or Nicki Minaj, like where it's like you might Google her name and it's like, oh wow, Cardi B, what you doing? What song are you singing these days, right? And you don't want your kids doing that. She has a lot of younger Swifties, that will Google to see what Taylor Swift is doing. 12, 13, 14-year-old girls, and she's been trying to keep I would say a pretty decent reputation, even though, she's getting up there. She's 30 something, she's had her flings in the past, she's written about them with her songs, however, despite all of that, she's kept a pretty decent, I would say, reputation for her fans. This changes things. Now, if you're a parent, Googling Taylor Swift that's why they stopped it on Twitter. And that's why Elon stopped it. It's like, hey, you're a Swiftie, you hop on there, next thing you know, you see a little more of Taylor than you wanted to, You're like, hey, what's going on here?
But it's not a little more Taylor. This is where critical thinking comes into play, and this is where we're going to have to deal with this, because you're right. What do you trust now? You can make anybody say anything, do anything, and look any way you want them to. The reality is we have to use our critical minds and say, you know what, that's a bunch of junk, and we know it's junk. Let's move on from this discussion, because it doesn't matter. When it comes to Taylor Swift and her brand, though, I think you should be taking a page, and you should be pulling Taylor Swift into Ohio saying, hey, Taylor, hook me up, give me some votes, because it looks like she might be doing that for Biden. Listen, she has a strong brand, and whatever she says goes. So if she says vote for Biden, I guarantee a lot of people will be voting for Biden. So you need to go find Taylor Swift and be like, hey, hook me up. I know you got nudes out there, but listen, sweetheart, I know that's not you. I need you to help my campaign.
Well, with AI, we don't even need her to come here. I'll just
that is
AI
true.
her over here. Paul, thanks for popping on.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
And it's time for some crypto prices. The time is 10:09 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Fear agrees at 59. We are still neutral, heading toward greedy. Bitcoin sitting at $43,426, up 3.6% in 24, up 11.5 in 7. Ethereum is at $2,307, up around 3%. Tether's number 3. Binance is at 308, up around 1%. And Solana's up 9.5% at 105. Y'all didn't listen to me, did you? Y'all didn't listen to me. It's up 28.6% in 7. If y'all listen to me, you know what up. Running off the top 10, we have XRP, USDC, Cardano, Avalanche, and Doge. By the way, Avalanche is up 28% as well in 7. The total market cap is 1.66 trillion. A Bitcoin dominance of 51.2 and an ETH dominance of 16.7. That was our show today. I'll be back tomorrow. And until then, happy hodling, everyone.